Up a lot.
Paul Armentano, the normal, what is he? Or like he's one of our upper ups in normal and national. He did an op-ed said setting caps on THC potency is poor policy. Prohibiting adults from accessing these products from state licensed retailers will not eliminate consumers' demand for them. Rather, it will encourage consumers to seek out higher THC products in the unregulated market. Washington State House lawmakers move to lift home grow ban, reject proposed THC potency limits as well. Despite having been one of the first states to initially legalize the adult use marijuana market, Washington is only one of 5 states that do not allow home cultivation. So, so that's pretty interesting one there. All right, pardons are the first step in the federal cannabis reform. Activist Chris Goldstein received a pardon from President Biden for smoking a joint outside during a protest, calling for cannabis to be removed from the Controlled Substances Act. He was given 24-month probation, weekly THC testing, a $3,000 fine, and shit on a permanent record, but he got it pardoned. But that one, he was arrested federally, yeah. So like my arrest, I didn't get my pardon because mine was arrested at a U2 concert here in Glendale, and it fucking wasn't at par with this standard. All right, South Dakota lawmakers reject a bill that sought to limit patients' cannabis access. Voters overwhelmingly approved a ballot measure legalizing medical cannabis in 2020, and since then, the lawmakers have routinely sought to repeal aspects of the law or significantly amend it. I don't even think they're selling the weed yet. There, are they? In South Dakota.
No, not yet.
Yeah, they're still fucking with this since 2020. So this is the fourth year the lawmakers are fucking them.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. All right, New York regulators to sign off on home cultivation rules in a February meeting. The state regulators are governing the alcohol market that permit adults the option to legally brew non-commercial quantities of their own alcohol is considering this policy with a similar permit for home cultivation.
Cool.
Craft weed, craft beer.
Yeah.
And then in New Hampshire, backers back off efforts to adapt THC potency caps and impose per se limits on driving. So they were trying to pull on the same shit they always are, the THC caps, and this one was like maybe a 5 nanogram or whatever
So it was higher than the one they tried to pass here?
Yes.
Yes. But they relented after Paul submitted testimony to the committee opposing both bans. So that one got shot down, and that was in New Hampshire.
Good.
And that's the last of my updates for national. I didn't go back to last month because even though I missed it, somebody else should have taken care of last month while I was not here.
Wasn't it you that did last month's national? Yeah.
Okay.
Next we
Who's
have
up?
events. Next we're going to switch things around and do events next. We usually close with events, but we're going to close with bills because that's more interesting. And so we have META coming up on the 28th, I believe.
Mhm.
And then we have Earl Cup on March 16th and 17th. And there's the expo coming up with which AJ is going to do a raffle for or do some giveaway for later. And I can't think of any other events really. Can of Friends. But they changed.
For everyone.
Huh?
AJ's got passes for everyone.
And yeah, with that, I'm gonna give it up to Nick.
Woohoo! Come on, guys, man. Yeah, Nick.
What was that? Electrical?
Yep. How you guys doing? Good? Cool. My name is Nick Assman. If you guys haven't seen the Instagram, Arizona NORML's Instagram, basically we collab. Oh,
You want to stay in frame.
oh,
Here, I'll even. There we go.
didn't see that there. My bad. But yeah, basically we collabed together to create Canna Ed, which is a series of educational videos that we'll be doing. Our target audience for those videos are the younger community and people who want to know more about cannabis but don't have an accurate source of information or just an outlet to be able to find, basic information that could just help them understand their experience if they, choose to encounter cannabis. And so, yeah, we did 10 episodes so far. We're gonna be doing the next set of 10 episodes. Starting Friday will be the 11th episode. We also did a podcast with AJ. So if you guys have seen this podcast, Blue to Green podcast. Yeah, super awesome. We did him and Janae and I, we all kind of collabed together and did a quick episode. And so, yeah, feel free to check that out. But if you guys have any questions or want to learn more about Canna Ed or want to be involved in any way, we're going to be doing more stuff with testimonies about people who do home grows or people who just have experience in the industry and want to talk about their experience. So if you guys do want to collab and be a part of episode going forward, feel free to reach out to my Instagram or just talk to me personally, and we'll get something set up. Cool. Is that you next, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna hand it on back to Allison.
It's lobby week update.
That's lobby week. All right, let's do lobby week.
Let's stand together.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Lobby week was awesome. We had an amazing time. Thanks to all of you that came out. Chef Turtle, Sammy.
Yeah.
Me and AJ had fun in a committee or in a meeting. And yeah. What else?
Yeah, I think that's the big up. I mean, lobby week is always our opportunity to be proactive with the legislature, which I think kind of leads nicely on into the bills because this is my 4th year doing legislative work with Arizona NORML. And 4, can you believe it?
Yep.
I know. But maybe we should applaud this. This is the first year we haven't heard THC caps getting floated or a per se limit, which is huge. So there's some good news and bad news. I tried to make it super, super simple. Who here knows about the RTS system? Woohoo, about half of us. Okay, RTS stands for Request to Smoke. It is the system that they have down at the legislature that allows you to weigh in on bills. And
Yeah,
no, we rebranded.
rebranding, request to speak to be stoner friendly.
And what you can do in real time is you can weigh in on bills. So I just want to take you through. If you're on the RTS system, I want you to register your support. If you're not, Janae has a sign up.
No, it's right here.
Oh, it's right here. We have a sign up, and we will create for you a request to speak account or a request to smoke account at your discretion, so that you can do this from the privacy of your own home. There's a few that NORML's super concerned about. So let's dig into the shitty bills first. So the way it works is that there are House bills and Senate bills. A House bill, it'll start with an HB versus a Senate bill, an SB. One of the tactics that people often use is they run what's called a mirror bill. So sometimes there's a bill in each chamber that has the exact same text. And that's what this first one is. So it's HB 2452 on the no side. And what this bill does is it says, hey, all of that money in the Smart and Safe Fund, that surcharge that all the rec folks have to pay. The way that fund normally works is they take out the cost of enforcement, they take out the costs of processing expungement, and the rest of it gets divided the way the voter said, which is about a third to community colleges, a little less than that to police and fire, 10% of that over in the Justice Reinvestment Fund to do important work like expungements. And the legislature is considering 2 bills that say, forget all of that. We're just going to give it all to cops to enforce prohibition. Yes. And the good news about this bill is that it's subject to the Voter Protection Act. which means that not just a simple majority, but a super majority has to pass it. So we think we can kill this, but we need your help. Please request to speak against this bill. Also, request to speak doesn't mean you actually have to have words coming out of your mouth hole. It means bless you.
It means bless you.
It means bless you. You can request to speak and say that I don't actually want to go down to committee and speak on these bills. The second one I want to talk to you tonight is equally concerning. It's HB 2451. So quick poll, who thinks we should be advertising cannabis to children? Cool. Yeah, that's going to come back and bite me later, isn't it? That was a demonstration about how one raises their hand. Yeah. What this bill does, is the Department of Health Services already has the ability to crack down on targeting kids with cannabis advertisements. Like they can do that already. They claim that they can't and that they need more instruction from the legislature. And they claim that that's what this bill does. Can you hear me? Cool. I don't want to hear my own voice.
We're live.
There's a little lag.
All right. The part that's really shitty about this bill, because otherwise, I mean, as you know, both National NORML and Arizona NORML's position has always been we don't market to children ever, and we will always support bans on marketing to children. What this bill does is it includes paraphernalia in the advertising restrictions and says that only licensed dispensaries can advertise paraphernalia. So I want you to think about that for 1 second, because having expunged about 3,000 convictions now through Arizona NORML, we know that cops here consider everything from saran wrap to Ziploc bags to rolling papers to bongs to be paraphernalia. And now none of those products can be advertised except through the dispensaries if this bill passes. You should have heard the comments in committee yesterday. It passed out of committee, so it's going to the House as a whole to vote on it. Every single one, even our NORML advocates, were like, this sounds like such a common sense measure. So we really need folks, especially if you're in an industry that's, dispensary adjacent that does paraphernalia work, to get loud on this and make them realize that, like, not only is this probably unconstitutional, but this is just a bad idea.
Put every smoke shop out of business.
Well, every smoke shop out of business, every artisan out of business, and then like, what are they gonna?
Newspaper stand.
Right.
You can't sell foil. You can't sell saran wrap. You can't
Right.
sell bras. You
You're
can't
talking about a
sell.
bodega, a corner market. You're talking about literally everybody that can buy something wholesale.
And what's worse, it doesn't even tell you what advertising means. I mean, does advertising mean handbills? Does it mean billboards? Or does it even just mean the packaging? So that part is super troubling, and the legislature doesn't seem to understand why that's problematic and that they shouldn't pass it. So we're going to need your help on that. The last one is a bill that is, we're going to dive into hemp politics. If you remember last year was all about hemp down at the legislature.
Mhm.
And this is, so SB 1401 is a reprise of all of that. It basically says that all hemp that you would use to consume is now going to be illegal. It is going to be considered a dangerous drug and is going to carry dangerous drug penalties. So that's fun. We might have...
I know I've been gone for a while, but damn.
Right?
Full 180.
We'll do.
So those are the no's, and they're particularly horrendous. The good news is, so when I started 4 years ago, like the job of being political director was entirely killing bad bills because there were no good bills to root for. And the nice thing about this session is we're starting to see more and more good bills that we can root for. I'm going to save the best for last. We're going to cut the live feed for the one I want to talk to you most about because it's in committee tomorrow, and we need to have a strategy session that probably shouldn't be open to the public. So one good bill that we're trying to get to committee is that there is HB 2301 right now that bans housing discrimination for patients, and it's huge. It says that you can't get evicted by your landlord for consuming, and that is A+. We're happy with that. The second is another mirror. Yes.
So on this one, the HB 2301, like, if that passes, we could smoke inside our apartment?
It doesn't clarify smoking in the apartment. It just says marijuana
It just
use.
says the landlord can't really be a
Yeah.
smoker.
Can't kick me out because I self-medicate.
Exactly. And we're working with that bill sponsor in the off season to make that even better.
Gives a tenant a little bit better standing.
Right. And a lot of apartments, like they end up fining people instead of evicting them. And that's just as bad. Yeah.
I just want to point out, this is something I was working on. The issue here is smoking it in the apartment. If you're using edibles or vaping, they only care about the smell. They don't like tobacco use no more than they like marijuana use. So the issue here with the landlords, and I ran into this when I had your job, it's the smoking issue they have a problem with.
Yeah. I mean, I want to push back just a little bit because I've seen those evictions based on vape, which is really irritating. But
Yeah,
they'll say
I have, but, yeah.
it happens, man. And like, so having some sort of protection and making it strong and meaningful is definitely a priority. The next set is SB 1186 and 2679. These are what we're calling the good hemp bills. As you know, last year, Arizona NORML was put in a very difficult place on when it came to hemp because it is the literal Wild West. These products, there are some very responsible, very well-tested products on the market that are hemp products. There are some very irresponsible, very not tested products on the market as well. And our options historically have been, well, why don't we ban them all and have Prohibition 2.0? Why don't we give them entirely to the dispensaries under the current like vertical integration monopoly? Or why don't we keep the hemp program where it is in the Department of Agriculture and allow them to make common sense rules about who gets a license, who can sell it? And that would be a form of equity in the market right now, because as you know, it's almost impossible as the little guy to break into Arizona's cannabis market. These bills are that last option, and we're hoping to see them over the finish line. The Senate version went to committee this last week and passed. So yay on that.
It's a good watch on Arizona Cannabis News too if you're bored. It's about an hour and a half long committee, and it's a fun watch.
It's really interesting to hear some of the legislators, especially the ones you don't expect, talk about how bad it is to have a monopoly when it comes to cannabis.
It's worth the watch.
Yeah. There were
It
some
is a good
serious
watch.
fireworks.
It's a really good watch. It's entertaining.
Can I have 2 points of personal privilege before we cut the live feed?
Okay.
All right. I have one bill that is not on this list and one announcement. The announcement is, I know we've been talking about this for a while, but we are going to be launching record sealing in March through Arizona NORML. And yeah. And to translate that from lawyer talk, like that's going to make a whole bunch of folks who weren't eligible under expungement be able to clear and seal their records so they can answer truthfully that they have never been convicted of an offense. Yeah, it goes all the way up to class 2 felonies, and it's based purely on whether or not someone's a risk to public safety and the amount of time that's passed since they have been released from probation or from prison. So super, super big deal. We're looking forward to bringing that to the public. Second piece is I did want to have a DCS update. There was some really good DCS legislation that I got to work on in the off season that would have decoupled the Department of Child Safety from that would have decoupled in the instance of prenatal exposure to cannabis and to any other drug, that reporting system from automatic child separation, which is kind of the status quo right now. And it was almost impossible to find a sponsor.
You didn't find one?
It ended, no, at the end of the day, people are still very like locked into this idea that if you smoke cannabis while you're pregnant, that you deserve at least to be investigated by the department. And it's a policy right now, like for the first time ever, we saw it, bless you, in the Arizona Republic, people saying, why does Arizona have such a high congenital syphilis rate, for example? Well, it's because that patients aren't seeking prenatal care because they're worried that their doctors are going to report them. So I want you to know that's still on the radar, that we're still working on it. We are very concerned about SB 1312. That is a law that's not on your sheet. What that law does is it provides for involuntary commitment for anyone who has substance use disorder. So it would allow police to take someone into an emergency hold and potentially hold them for months if they are not willing or able to enter voluntary treatment. Yeah, it's super scary. And we know that our cannabis mamas are going to be like right there in the crosshairs of that particular law. So those are the two things. And then I think we're good to cut the live feed unless there's anything else for the good of the order. And then I want to talk about the committee hearing tomorrow. Dope. Okay, let's cut the live feed. Thank y'all for joining us.
Bye.